Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, My Spectrum Family. I'm Nick Chambers and it's just been Christmas. We're a couple of weeks back from Christmas now, so I just wanted to talk about how things are settling in and settling back in our household. So Christmas this year, and I'm hoping next year we can talk about that a lot, but Christmas this year was fairly calm. We spent a lot of time with the family, spent a lot of time outside in the fresh air, but now they're 2 weeks back in with all the kids back at school, and they've settled in quite well, but it just took a little bit of time. So the first few days coming back into the holidays is always quite a tough one for adjusting back into kind of when we get up, when we get dressed, the things we do in the day all need to be a little bit more planned out, but the same happens when we go back to school. So as much as we were trying to prepare both Jay and Imogen for back to school, nothing can ever prepare for them actually going back. So the first week it was quite tough in the house. So school didn't notice anything different because Jay just about manages to hold it all together in school. I think he uses up all his last ounce of energy just to get through it, but he bursts through the door at the end of the day and you can just see it in his face. So one of the main signs we've always seen with Jay is he has an incredibly sore face. He has an incredibly sore hand, and this is primarily to do with how and what he does to help calm him, especially when he's anxious or he has some anxieties that he can't explain. He makes some noises and he puts his hand towards his face and he constantly rubs. So you'll see sores all around his mouth and all on his hand, which takes a lot of work at night before bed, all the creams to settle him down. Now one of the other things that happened after Jay had come back from Christmas is another one of his key signs is some of the things that present themselves. Now Jaden had managed to bite the inside of his cheek, and he's done this on so many occasions, and we know it's to do with how stressed he is, but it was huge. It was the size of a golf ball. It was impeding how he was talking. It was stopping us from cleaning his teeth at night, and that's just one of the physical signs we see when we know Jay is stressed and he's anxious. Now it's really hard to see him come in from school so tired with all the sores around his face, and the best thing we can do is to just try and get through the evening. So we give him a snack as soon as he bursts in through the door. We try and give him some fruit. Most of the time he wants crisps and cake, so we have to try and hold him off from that. But in the first week we were barely getting through and past tea before he wants to go to bed. So we're talking 4:30, 5 o'clock. He's desperate to go to bed. He's blubbing. There's slobber everywhere. There's spit. There's crying. There's tantrums. There's door slamming. We held him out till about 6 on most days, and then we think it's a fairly okay time, especially in our world when we're up at 2, 3 in the morning. 6 o'clock's just about an okay time, so we were putting Jay to sleep around 6 o'clock most evenings in his first week. Some normalities return now, sort of second, third week back after school, and we get him back into a sort of regular routine. So he's back going to bed 7 o'clock, 7:30, holding out till about 10, and then we'll go from there. But in the later videos, I'm sure I'll talk a lot about our household and how we all sleep or how we don't sleep, and how Jay's sleep patterns are and how that impacts on all of our lives. But at the moment, we'll just leave it there. So second week comes and everyone's looking forward to the weekend, so we're just hoping to get out, get a bit of fresh air, do some family time, and we all end up being ill. So Anna was struggling to get out of bed. She was feeling really sick. She'd been up most of the night feeling sick. Imogen had got up and she was feeling sick, and she was off all the food, and that's not like her at all. She didn't want any sweets, didn't want any crisps, and she's a bit like a dog. You definitely know. Leo was the one who started it all. so we never know if it's him, if he's just throwing up or if he's got a bug, but this time it must have been a bug. And he had some terrible nappies and he had some episodes, and we were trying to clean it up and mop it up and do best as we can, and obviously we managed to get it. So I had it as well. Problem is, in our house, things can't change and don't change no matter if you are not well. So it comes to Sunday when we're all not well, and Jay is literally climbing the walls to get out and get some fresh air and to do some things that we normally do. So we made a bit of a promise to him that no matter what, we would go out for a walk. So it was a cold day, but we kitted out. Jay, me and Leo all set out for a walk. So Leo's in his pram, and Jay's really happy because we were heading to a park he'd wanted to go to for a while, and apart from our childhood. So we set off, and even though none of the girls, not Anna nor Imogen, were really up for it, they were trying their best as well, and they said they'd meet us at the park, so we managed to walk there. So it didn't take us that long, so it was about half an hour, and the girls came to meet us for a bit of a play on the park, but it was quite obvious from when we got there that no one was really up for it, and we tried our best for Jay especially. Imogen couldn't manage it. Leo was looking cold. Me and Anna were just defunct of all energy, but we still tried to go on the slide with Jay and push him on a swing, run round with the frisbee, and I think he needed it. So in that sense, I think it was a brilliant thing to do. Health-wise for us, and Anna and me, it probably knocked us back a bit, but we managed to cope and get through, and then we just kind of collapsed and flaked out around 7:30 when we'd managed to put them all to bed. I suppose the only saving grace wasn't much washing up to do once they were all in bed, as we hadn't eaten much that day. But we are definitely returning to normal now. I'm saying normal, it's our relative normality. So after school, the last week or so, weather not been that great, but we've still managed to get out to give Anna a bit of space. I've thrown Leo in his one boost and taken Jane and me to the hill, which is not too far from us. I'll try and put some pictures up and show you what I mean. It's just a mound of grass next to a road that leads to a factory. Now, one of the things that we consider to be normal is we go to the hill and we try and get cars and trucks that come down there leading into the factory to beat the horn at us. And just to see the look on their faces when they get a beep. Imogen is not really that bothered. She spends the time rolling down the hill. Leo's quite happy just to talk and babble and shout, but Jay is so into it, and it's so disappointing when cars look at us strangely. And to us, it's just not strange. To us, it's just something we do because that's what Jay loves to do. And we spent probably half an hour standing on this hill with the wind blowing, the rain coming down. Imogen were wearing a red coat when we returned. It was brown with mud. But eventually we got some beeps, and some truckers really went for it, and they were honking and they were really beeping the horn and flashing the light, and Jay's delight just goes through the roof, and he's so excited, and he's asking lots of questions and why they do it, and why all the cars don't do it, and why people are looking at him strange, and why some are stopping. But it's just something that we do in the evening, a bit of fresh air just to break out before bedtime, give Anna a bit of a break, and just allow Jay to do something that just makes him happy. And yeah, I have no doubt that people drive around the village by us and think, there's that family, and you know what, we are that family. But that's us, and that's our normality. And if we want to go out and stand on a hill and try and get lorries to honk at us and then do a dance and wave our hands, and that's what we'll do, and that's what we have done, and he loves it. So there's no reason I'm going to stop, and no doubt we'll do it again. So one of the last little things I want to do for this video is just to talk about some of the differences I've been noticing recently. So Leo is now sort of slowly coming off from breastfeeding, and it's quite a transitional time, and it's quite a sad time, and bit of a bond losing between Anna and Leo, and it's really hard to see and for him to be sort of coming away from the breast milk and coming onto solid foods. But on the flip side, it gives me the opportunity to help Anna a bit more, so I get to get Leo ready for bed and get a chance to give him some bottles sometimes, and it just brought back a whole load of memories from Jay and Emmy and how we used to do them. So Leo is completely different to the other two. He could take milk, he could leave milk, he's not that bothered. He may have an ounce a night, he may have 5 ounces, but we can put him down in his cot and he will kind of self-settle, and it's really nice to see. And maybe it's just because he's our third child and he just has to, or they're all just completely different in themselves, that's just how he does things. Whereas Imogen she'd drink milk and she'd drink it, but it wouldn't kind of put her into a sleep mode. And when she was really small, one of us had to rock her to sleep and then try and put her down. And even now, when we put her into bed, she's the one that does the delays, she's the one that talks to us, asks us all the questions, wants another story, wants another game. And that's kind of how she is. So we've got Leo, who self-soothes and quite happy to lie in bed and go to sleep himself. Emmy, who was the one that always wanted to be up and active and doing things and the next question, or would have to be kind of rocked to sleep. And now Jay, going back all those years, that was a time, going to bed was a time we knew, even though it was our first, there was something that didn't quite fit the bill. Now, we used to give Jay a bath every night, and we would have our window for him to drink his milk, and he drank it fast. He drank like no other baby I've ever seen, and we had that window, and the older he got, the shorter time we had of that window to get Jay in his pyjamas and in his bed. So the clock was ticking, and he was drinking his milk from the second we took him out of the bath and wrapped him in a towel, and we had to change him, dry him, put his cream on him, put a new nappy, baby grow, get him in his sleeping bag and lay him down in his bed. If we did not get him in the bed from his last sip of milk, the roof came off. There was tears, there was screaming, he would arch his back, he'd kick, he'd throw his legs. He just couldn't handle it. If we timed it just right and he managed to finish drink and we'd lay him straight in his cot, he would go and he would sleep. I suppose that was one of those key indicators that we knew there was something different, and I hate to say different, but it was different to how anyone else would be. We had to have that pattern every night, and we had to be ready for it. And I suppose that was just one of the ways we got through. We managed to adapt to that, we managed to be ready, we managed to do it, and I suppose other people thought we were crazy, but that was our way of coping and getting through, and that was just how Jaden was. I suppose you didn't realise back then how lucky we were that he used to go to sleep at about 7, half 7, he might wake up once, and he'd get up at 6, and we thought that was early. But now, with Jay going to bed at half 7, he can be up any time from 10, 11 and may not go back to sleep. So it was a blessing in disguise. So I just want to end with thank you for watching my second video. Hopefully there'll be more to come. This is just how we transitioned back into school after the Christmas holidays, and some of the comparisons of our 3 children, how different they are, and how we started to see some of the first signs that Jaden was on the autistic spectrum. So I'll say goodbye for now and see you soon. Hopefully any comments you can leave them below, and please watch the next video. Bye.